Hey everyone, it's your buddy, it's your pal, it's Karnik, Star Wars Armada Explained. Before I dive into today's video, I just want to point out I got myself an awesome new shirt. I'm not sure how well you can read it, but it says, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. This was a shirt that was pointed out to me on the Tabletop Simulator Discord, like, you gotta have this shirt. I said, I gotta have that shirt. Now I have the shirt, and this is the shirt I probably will be wearing in quite a few future videos. I promise to wash it. But anyway, we're going to be diving into an upgrade card. We're going to look at Clone Navigation Officer. Such a great card. I'm excited to show the world about some of the neat little things about this card, and it's just great. It really helps Grand Army of the Republic be able to just have a bit of flexibility in their ships, because as we know right now, the acclimators, you kind of, set in quite a few things, but this upgrade card definitely has a lot of benefits. So let's start. So Clone Navigation Officer, you can see there on the title, it is not unique. It means you can bring as many of them as you have officer slots in your fleet. You can equip to, one to each ship. Bottom left-hand corner of the card, you'll see the officer upgrade icon. Again, it equips to the officer seat on a ship. Opposite corner on the right-hand side, or yeah, left, right, corners, they're hard. You'll see that it's faction specific for the Grand Army of the Republic, and it is worth 4 points. Now, we're going to touch on a couple different new mechanics that were introduced into Armada. You're going to be seeing on this card, it's got blue bars, it's got red bars. What does all this stuff mean? We're going to go through it step by step. We'll break it down, and we'll figure it out. But for the most part, read the rules reference guide. It's not too terrible to difficult to understand how these things kind of work. Okay, so the Clone Navigation Officer, let's start by reading its card. When you reveal a concentrate fire, navigation, or squadron command, you may exhaust this card to choose a friendly ship at distance 1 to 5. That ship may gain 1 command token matching your command. You can spend tokens from this card to ready it. So a couple of different steps here that we need to go over. One is during deployment, and I'm not going to get into card text just yet. I'm going to talk about how does this card work for in terms of when do you gain the token, when can you spend it, how does it refresh, etc. So the timing of when do you gain that token from the blue bar, and you'll see there it's a navigate token that Clone Navigation Officer starts with. There's different icons depending on different things. Like, for example, if you look at the red bar, it's got a unique icon that's not a navigation or squadron or concentrate fire repair. It's this like sunburst looking icon. So that icon means any token. And what does the any token mean in the red bar again? I'll get to that. So to get back to the blue bar, when do you gain this navigation token on the blue bar? So it's during deployment. So in RNG, it states that you gain this effect. Where did I just have it here? You gain it when the ship is deployed during, and this is in quotations, during the deploy ship step of setup. So the only time that you can gain a token on this card from the blue bar is during the timing is when you place the ship. So if it was off the table, you're saying, you know what, I'm going to place this ship first in my deployment area. Boom, it's deployed. Then you say, aha, I have Clone Navigation Officer. Now is when I place the 1 navigation token on this card. Because again, it's when you deploy the ship during the deploy ship step of setup. So again, during deployment. It's not after deployment. It's not before deployment. It's not 3 rounds into the game. If you set the card aside with a set aside effect like hyperspace assault or something like that, if you bring the ship in out of hyperspace, again, this is not during the right timing window. You would not be able to gain the token from on the card itself. You can still use the card. You can make it still work otherwise. It just doesn't start with the navigation token. All right, want to make sure I was clarifying that. All right, let's get our acclimators back on the table here. So as I mentioned before, Clone Navigation Officer is great for support. Oh, right, maybe I should complete about how this card works. So When you exhaust this card in the upper right corner there next to his name, to the right of Clone Navigation Officer, you'll see a single rightward pointing arrow. It means that when this card is exhausted and it's turned right, in the status phase, this card remains exhausted going into the next round unless you pay the ready cost at the end of the status phase to refresh it. So again, you're in the ship phase, you're powering, you're blasting, you exhaust the card, you use its effect, you get to the end of the status phase. So again, before you go on to the next round, a lot of people forget this timing step because they just get excited about setting command dials. This takes place end of the round before the start of the next round. You can pay a ready cost. How do you pay a ready cost to ready this card? As it says on here, it's got the any icon command token on there. So as long as that ship has a command token on it, you can spend the command token from that ship to ready that card. Or, as it says here at the end of Clone Navigation Officer, it has an exception to this. It says you can spend tokens from this card to ready it. So not all cards come with this, one-time bonus use effect. Clone Navigation Officer specifically comes with a one-time free refresh cost. So again, you start with the one navigation token on the card itself. If you use that card during the ship phase, you get to the end of the status phase, you can be like, I got my one-time use here. I can either spend the token from this card or a token from the ship itself. As long as the ship itself has a token it can spend to ready the card. Okay, now we can actually get into the card effects. With these things, I want to make sure I'm explaining the new things so players are understanding how this all works. Okay, let's do some reading. So again, the initial effect of this card is, when it's deployed during the deploy ship step of setup, place only one navigation token on this card. Otherwise, this upgrade card is exhausted and resolved when a ship reveals a command dial. Now, one thing to note, that if a ship does not reveal a command because it chose to discard its command dial due to a card effect such as crew panic or some other kind of ability, then you cannot resolve Clone Navigation Officer's effect. Okay, because again, the card it says when you reveal, as in the ship that you are equipped to, reveal either a concentrate fire, navigation, or squadron command. Again, if you chose not to reveal a command dial, you cannot use Clone Navigation Officer because that is what effect it is tied to be able to resolve. This does not include, a lot of people get this confused too, is like, well, Bail's dial is revealed. No. Rules are very clear and specific about Bail, and I'll do Bail Commander card at some point. Bail is a gain effect, not a reveal effect. So Bail dials don't work either. It is literally only the ship's dial itself. If you reveal it, can you continue on with, if you want to decide to use the card or not. Okay. All right, so again, if a ship equipped with Clone Navigation Officer, is revealing one of those commands I mentioned before, you can then exhaust this card. If you do, you can choose a friendly ship, which includes the ship that this card is equipped to, that is at distance 1 to 5, and that ship may gain a command token matching the revealed command. So let's break that part of the card down. So again, we've got our consular class here. Did I spawn a template? I didn't spawn a template. Let me spawn the template here real quick. Boom, there we go. All right. So let's say it has a squadron command set for this ship, and Clone Navigation Officer's on this console layer. Okay, so you say, aha, I am now revealing my command. It's a squadron command as per what this card says. I've revealed it. I can now may exhaust this card to choose a friendly ship. So I exhaust this card. And it says I can choose a ship at distance 1 to 5. What does that mean? So when you bring up the range band, when you're measuring if a ship is in range of, say you've got distance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going outward. If any ship obviously is within that range, you can choose them as a target. But what happens if, for example, the ship is just barely in range? So when you're doing that measurement, you are measuring from plastic base of the ship to plastic base of the ship. So if it was just barely touching into the plastic base, you're not ranging cardboard to cardboard. You only do that when making attacks. Otherwise, for just doing distance or range checks, if it's not an attack, it's closest point to closest point, plastic to plastic. Do not measure from your shield dials or two shield dials or to squadron activation sliders or to the frames of the shield dials. Those are specifically called out as not counting. So again, you're not measuring, the shield dial. The shield dial is not in. Only the physical plastic little base itself is considered in. So when you're doing those measurements, again, just making sure that I'm mentioning that. Okay. So we see that we have an acclimator here at distance 1 to 5. That ship may gain 1 command token matching your command. So you say, that ship doesn't have a squadron token. We're going to go ahead and throw a squadron token on there. Boom. That's the card. So that is Clone Navigation Officer. So why is this card useful? Now that I've walked through the steps, let's check the KARM, make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, I covered all of that stuff. Again, it only works if you reveal that ship's command dial, and again, it doesn't work if it's been set aside and then deploys later. Okay. Or rather, it doesn't gain the starting token. It has to use tokens it comes with. So why is this useful? It's pretty much a counter to Dooku. So Dooku, if he's got a bunch of squadron raid tokens dialed up, and he's starting to chuck out squadron raid tokens on your ships, well, how do you get those off of there without, necessarily having to bank a squadron token right off the bat? Well, let's say, for example, there's a previous round, everybody got a squadron raid token from Dooku. You can activate your charger, reveal a squadron command, and be like, I am going to reveal the squadron command. I'm going to chuck, with no Clone Navigation Officer, chuck a token over to this acclimator, and then I'm going to turn this squadron token or squadron dial into a token, and then I'm going to use CommsNet from the fleet support, and I'm going to chuck it to the other acclimator. Now I've countered Dooku's raid. Now those ships can continue to reveal their squadron dials, and you've negated Dooku with 1 support ship. Or what I've seen some people do is that they'll run Clone Navigation Officer on like all of their acclimators, or any combination thereof. So for 4 points, and again, the one-time free use, it gets to unexhaust itself, and then you can do it again. That's essentially 2 rounds, which in most engagements you really only need like the 2. If you need a third, then just have a token saved up at some point and then spend it, and then you can use it for 3 rounds in a row. It's a very versatile card. It gets around raid. It gets around the thing right now where, Galactic or the Clone Wars ships kind of, they don't have a true support flotilla ship. They have combat ships. And some of their combat ships may not be designed for combat. They're like transport ships, but they're still all fighting ships. They're not like Rebels or Imperials where they have just pure dedicated support craft. And, everything is priced according to that. So that's Clone Navigation Officer. Of course, if you feel like I missed anything or if I got something wrong, please be sure to point it out. Let me know. I'm going to, again, try to keep on getting these videos out. If you have requests or, again, any questions, contact me on the Discord. I'm on the Star Wars Armada Discord, Tabletop Simulator Discord. I'm kind of all over the place. But, I'll catch you all next time.